Alright, now time for an update on Project Orange Truck. We don't have a name for the series yet, but it's our 1965 Ford F100 that is, well, it's not here right now because it's getting some work done. And this video will tell you what's going on with the truck, what some current plans are, and some of the cool parts that we have got in to really improve the truck and make it much more safe. So, background, we bought this truck. It's a pretty farm fresh, but it's a 65 F100-ish, four-wheel drive. I say ish because what we've learned from the notes that the previous owner took, the body, the interior, the bed is all off of an F100 four-wheel drive, but then the frame and the axles are off of an F250 along with the transfer case, and then the engine's out of a later dump truck, I think. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of parts. One of the things that really needed to be fixed on it though was that the tire setup, because the tires were absolutely shot, and I really loved the original mag wheels, but they were 16.5 inches in diameter, and it turns out you can't get tires with 16.5 inch diameter anymore, at least not for under $800 per tire. So we had to go with this. So this is still a 35 inch tall tire. It's still a 12.5, but you may notice that it is now, you know, a bigger wheeled tire. So it's a 17 inch tire, 35 of course total diameter, 12.5 width, and this is the BFG KM3, so this is going to look really cool in the truck. We stuck with the 35 because it's got this little straight 6, and I don't think a 37 is a good idea. But of course, because now the wheel is bigger in the tire, the wheel itself has to be bigger. So we went onto Tire Rack and kind of started shopping around for wheel options. Alright, here we go. So these are the center caps. There you go. So American Racing wheels. We bought these on Tire Rack. I don't really remember the price. I think they were like $220 a wheel or so. And the style is going to be really neat. Check them out here. Moment of truth. Let's see how they came out. Yes, very cool. So you can see that this is an 8-lug wheel, which turns out to be quite a pickle because of the F250 axles. It means that the wheel options are much more limited. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hopefully in the right bolt pattern that we'd find on our 65 truck. And then these, of course, are going to plop right in there. Now the reason we went with the polished look is because we kind of wanted that vintage vibe. It is an old 60s truck, and I think that's going to look quite swell on our Ford. So these are a 9-inch width wheel, and then of course the 12.5 inch width tire. That should be a good match as well. These are actually very similar to what Case has on his truck. Let's go take a look.
Now right here we have the wheels that are on my truck, and if you look at these two side by side, they're very similar. The holes that are drilled into the wheels that are going onto our Ford are bigger than the holes that are in my wheels. My wheels are also a 16 rather than a 17, and they've been on this truck for a long time, long enough to have some corrosion. They're cloudy in general, and actually the American Racing part of the center hub has fallen off because I think these wheels have seen some pretty hard use. But as you can tell, they are a very similar style. And I like this style of wheel on an old truck. Now obviously this is a 94 and our Ford is a 1965, so much different eras of trucks, but this is a very simple classic style of wheel that looks good on a lot of different machines, and I'm really excited to see this mounted up to that Ford with those meaty 35s, KM3s, gnarly tread. It's going to be a cool combination, don't you think, Tommy?
Oh yeah, awesome. Really cool.
Looking forward to it.
Now the truck is currently at our friends over at German Auto. I know it's confusing, but they were really excited to work on the truck, and it's getting its parking brake fixed, which turns out to have been a much bigger job than we were expecting, because parts for a 65 Ford should be easy to find, but when you get to an F100 and four-wheel drives, they're surprisingly hard to find, and basically the whole parking brake mechanism was completely missing. So there's a cable that goes from the lever to this little actuator. That actuator was missing, as was the cable, as was the two cables that go to the rear brakes. So just source those. Those should be going going on next week. Heater core was also replaced because that was leaking like a sieve, so hopefully it won't go steaming up the cabin anymore. Another one where I bought the part and it turns out to be just a little bit wrong, but he was able to modify the brackets to get it to fit perfectly. And then we're going to take it up to David's, do some testing on it, see how it is, put the new tires on first, of course, and then we've got to do the brake upgrade. I think we're going to leave drum brakes for the time being, but do full brakes all around so it's nice and safe, and then upgrade to a dual master cylinder because the brakes really work pretty well. I just hate the idea that if you snap a brake line, all the brakes are gone. From there, we're going to figure out something to do with like the body and the paint. I think it'd be really cool to keep the orange and maybe clear it, somehow fix the damage in the rear, redo the interior with seats and get rid of the horrible radio, and then do something with like the headliner perhaps because it's missing, and then talk about the engine and the transmission and go from there, see if we're going to keep the straight 6 or if we're going to change it for like a little diesel or a V8. But be sure to stay tuned because a lot more coming on the old Ford Project Orange truck. And head over to tfltruck.com for the latest and greatest in Project Orange truck updates.